What a stunning rebound by Bitcoin. In case you missed it, Bitcoin has hit a highest level in 2 weeks, even getting close to the 94,000 level. We haven't seen those prices since about November 17th or so, but today it got so close to that psychologically 94,000 level before pulling back lower. Where to next? And we'll also do a recap on what has driven Bitcoin both up and down in those wild swings that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. We're going to dive into all of that within the next half an hour or so. Hi there, my name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst at Bybit Learn. Thank you so much for joining us. And so we'll get right to it. I'll show you guys the Bitcoin chart here. And while I do that, I'll also just want to get confirmation that we are indeed streaming live on both YouTube and X. Hello, wherever you are joining us from. I am waiting for confirmation that we are streaming on YouTube, and then also on Bybit. Yes, we are live on YouTube. Well done. So hello, welcome. We're gonna dive deeper really into what you're seeing on the screens right now about Bitcoin, seeing this stunning rebound, not just yesterday but also into today as well. And we'll go into what's driving Bitcoin prices, and of course we'll look across markets to highlight so many opportunities that you may have missed out on, including the world's most traded FX pair and how it got so very close, just a hair away from the target that we had mentioned from last Friday. I hope you're feeling that FOMO now and hope you missed out. All right, cool. So we are live on X, we are live on YouTube. Again, for YouTube, right, make sure you check out the Bybit Learn official channel. Again, that's Bybit Learn official, and click on the live tab. You can see all of our live streams that we've had really since about early November or so. And for those of you watching on YouTube, for reference, we are also live on X. Just got to look for our handle at Bybit_learn. At Bybit_learn, and you can see all of our live streams and content there as well. Okay. All right. So we are live on both platforms. Cool. Let's get right to it. So you can see how, again, if you've been following these live streams, or if you're new to this, no worries, because we have often highlighted how big round numbers, okay, like the 94,000 level here, can affect the psyche of traders, right? So it can either act as resistance. When I say resistance, think of a ceiling. Prices head towards that ceiling or resistance and then hits it and bounce, or gets close to it and then bounces back down, because markets reject the idea that maybe Bitcoin touching 94,000 or going above 94,000 might be a bit too much for now. Okay, the resistance will be the opposite to what's called support. Okay, support, think of a floor, right? And when prices touch it, and then it could bounce back up. Okay, so with this chart, right, the resistance here right now for today, 94,000. That's a big round number that we can see. And then to the downside, you're looking at this baby blue line here, the 21-day simple moving average, SMA. Okay, and you can pull up all these indicators, right, like the SMA, by just clicking on the indicators button. You can find them on the top left-hand corner of your web trading platform. Or if you are using the Bybit app, you can find it under the settings. Just look for that bolt or that nut looking like icon. Click on it, and then you can find indicators there. Okay, once you have this table open, you can type in whatever you're looking for. So in this case, moving average, which I have already. And then once it shows up on the screen, you can right click on it, and then you can change the settings to whatever period you want. Okay, so for this instance, I'm looking at the 21-day simple moving average. So this will be the key support level for the immediate term, right? So to answer the question about whether Bitcoin can keep going higher and eventually touch this 95,000 target that we have had since November 21st, right? And if you don't believe me, go check it out. All that live stream is on there. Just look for the November 21st one. Scroll through till you either see this or there's a table that I've put out, and I'll show you the table again in just a bit, right? That number 95,000 has been there since November 21st when Bitcoin was around here, right? See this big spike down here, right? We already mentioned, okay, well, if it goes up to the upside, we are looking at 95,000. Got really close, got to about 94,000 just about. And then you see how prices just rejected and then it came back down, right? So that's classic resistance there. We'll see if this support actually holds. Now, if this 21-day simple moving average holds as support, then the longer it does that, the greater the chance that Bitcoin could hit that 95,000 level. Okay, but that's purely looking at the charts. There are many other factors to take into consideration here. Again, this is the daily time frame. Yeah, so you can adjust the charts time frame. In other words, each of these candlesticks, right, represents how long of a period. In this case, each of these candlesticks of bars, right, this is called a candlestick chart. They represent how Bitcoin's prices have fared in that one single day. You can change it down to 1 minute. This is what it looks like. Well, I got to readjust my charts here, but that's what it looks like unadjusted. That's 1 hour. I'm looking at 1 day. You can even go up to 1 month. Okay. But I'll tell you what, I'll just try and without messing this too much here, right? See how it got to 94,000 and then just rejected, coming back down lower. Okay, this no longer is a 21-day simple moving average. This one will be the 21-hour simple moving average. Okay, so the technical indicator, right, adjusts based on what time period, time frame you select on the chart. Okay, so let's go back to the 1-day one and let's readjust my chart just so that it looks decent. Okay. Yeah, so to the upside, right, 94,000 immediate big round number resistance targets to 95K that we've had since November 21st. Go check out our previous live streams on YouTube, Bybit official, Bybit Learn official. That's our YouTube channel, and click on the live tab, or on X, it's at Bybit_learn. Okay, upside 94 resistance. Support, immediate support, 21-day simple moving average. Because if this breaks, right, and there are signs that this rebound may not have a lot of oomph, may not have a lot of strength or momentum to it, and I'll show you some of those signs in just a bit. But if this breaks, right, we're looking at 84,000. Okay, which is support here back on November 22nd. You see this hits it and bounces back off. Same thing on Monday, hits 84K. Bend big rebound here, even notching that 2-week high that we saw just earlier today. Okay, now in the name of transparency, again, all this is also listed, put in writing and printed out there on the web so that you can keep me accountable as well. Right now, to be clear, none of this is financial advice. No financial advice here. Okay, I'm just calling the markets and potential setups across different asset classes, not just Bitcoin. We have said gold, S&P 500, and euro dollar, which we'll look at in just a bit. Wow, beautiful one, that one. I'm listing all these setups and explaining it how, as I interpret the markets, are kind of, the signals that markets are giving us, and I call it like I see it, okay? And again, in the name of transparency, if you can check on our X account, again, that's at Bybit_learn, right? I even have screenshots, right, from the live stream and when it was presented, when the target was mentioned, and then when it actually hit it. Okay, and I'll show you some examples in just a bit. But this is Bitcoin, right? Now, there are signs, like I mentioned earlier, that this was perhaps running out of fume. And keep in mind, I wrote this easily about 6-7 hours ago, right? Back when prices were still above 93,000. And sure enough, here we are struggling to maintain. Now it's down to around 92,000. I mean, to be clear, it's still within the day's range, but it seems to be lacking momentum. Now, here are some of the signs or indicators that I had highlighted in my article. All right, tell you what, let's go with the article first. All right, now if you are checking this out on Bybit.com, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, now across the top, you will see on Bybit.com, you'll see this Learn tab, right? Hover your cursor over it, and then you see Bybit Learn. You click on it, and then you'll see the URL change to learn.bybit.com. Okay, learn.bybit.com. So if you want to just head on straight to the Learn section of the website, you can just type in learn.bybit.com. If you are using this on the Bybit app, right, you got to go into the top left-hand corner, click on your account, and then look for services, and you will see the learn icon within the services tab. Okay. And then make sure you bookmark it so that it's easier to get to next time. Okay. Learn. Now, so once you get to learn.bybit.com, you can hover over blog up here and click on daily bits. And this is an article that I, again, published, today, about, 6-7 hours ago. So, about 6 hours ago. Okay. Now, so some of these questions that we're about to go over, you can basically read it all here. I had mentioned this already. So talking about the rebound, okay, it teased the 94,000 mark earlier today before coming back down. Now, here's a quick recap, of what drove Bitcoin's drop on December 1st. I won't go into all the details. You can read it for yourself. Again, that's learn.bybit.com. Look for the article with the headline, which is the latest one, right? Bitcoin breaches 93K for first time in 2 weeks. Can the rebound last? Okay. So here's a recap of what drove that big drop that we saw on Monday at the onset of the week, right? Developments or news around strategy. This is a very famous Bitcoin treasury company. In other words, it's a company that basically its value is tied to how much Bitcoin it can hold on and buy and hold. Okay, so there's some troubles over there. You've got some comments out of central banks in China and Japan, right? So you can read all that on your own. Now, then it goes into why is Bitcoin rebounding? Because we've got some of these big factors, including market expectations for a Fed rate cut. Now, let me just break this down real quick. The Fed, aka the Federal Reserve, is the U.S. central bank. It is the most influential central bank in the world. What they say, what they don't say, what they do, what they don't do, what markets think that the Fed might say or do, all that moves trillions of dollars across FX markets, stock markets, and of course cryptos as well, even bonds, etc. Right? So there's a lot of reaction based on the latest data and the announcements and commentary coming out of the US, but in particular the US central bank. Okay, so basically all you got to know is markets are now. Well, let me actually give you some updates here. I think markets now have raised this from a 91% chance to, well, too bad I can't edit it anymore because I've published it already, but now it's 97% chance. Okay, so in other words, markets are growing very expectant. They are very much expecting the US interest rates to come down further next week. And we'll be doing a special live stream with you guys on December 9th at 8 a.m. GMT time, right? And it's on December 9th. The decision by the Fed will be announced on December 10th. So they give you plenty of time to not just catch our live streams, and we've got special giveaways for you guys as well, but then also catch it from December 9th all the way to December 10th in the lead up to that very important announcement. Not just what the Fed will do next week, whether they'll cut interest rates or not, but also what they will convey about next year. Okay, 2026. Markets are very much forward-looking. So today's price action reflects tomorrow's concerns, tomorrow's fears, and even tomorrow's hopes and bullish expectations. Okay, so that's why even if you go back to the strategy thing, or even the Bank of Japan thing, right? The Bank of Japan hasn't even done anything yet. Their meeting isn't until December 19th, but already markets moved. Bond yields, which is basically the returns you would get if you bought and hold Japanese government bonds. That went up to its highest since 2007, right? And that's well before, a couple of weeks before the Bank of Japan will even do anything. Right? They haven't had their official announcement yet. Likewise with strategy, right? Again, there are some concerns that will go out into January, but already markets are reacting to all these fears and rumors even well before the official event. Okay. Markets are forward-looking in nature, hence to the upside. Why is Bitcoin rebounding? Well, a lot of it has got to do with the greater odds of a December Fed rate cut. From 91% when I was publishing it this morning, now up to 97% live numbers. Okay, that's one. This one gets a bit more technical. So this goes back to the whole strategy thing, right? So there might be what markets had feared about strategy. Again, they're a Bitcoin treasury company. In other words, their whole modus operandi. Their business model is to basically buy and hang on to as much Bitcoin as they can, right? That's their main business, basically, right? So some of those concerns about them that's been allayed based on what the SEC chairman had actually kind of commented on. So that's one. And then you've got, again, on the Japan side, some of their bond yields kind of easing below yesterday, although then today kind of spike back up again. Okay, so these are the kind of factors that are moving Bitcoin. So look, that's why I'm more of a fundamental guy. I look beyond the charts. There's so much more happening out there in the real world, so to speak, right? As opposed to say the technical traders, who just look at the charts and just look at technical indicators. And that's what I'd shown you guys earlier, right? With the 21-day simple moving average and all that kind of stuff, right? But, I'm a firm believer that it's still the real world developments, what's happening in the real world around crypto and in Bitcoin, that has much more propensity to move prices. And that's exactly what we saw on Monday. And then this big rebound that we've seen yesterday and today. Okay. So going back to the article, again, you can read all this later, right? So now here's a big question. Can Bitcoin sustain its rebound? Well, it's complex, right? But I guess the short answer is, I'm doubtful. I won't say it's 100% no, right? I'm doubtful. Of course, it depends on what all these other macro factors are. So again, like the Fed meeting on December 10th, which is next week, we will do a special live stream on it, previewing it the day before on December 9th, right? So that kind of stuff we got to look out for. But between now and then, right, I'll be really surprised if Bitcoin really keeps charging higher, because I want to see what's happening on the macro side before determining what could happen next. Now, of course, for those of you with the appropriate risk appetite, again, this is not financial advice, but even before the Fed actually does anything, right? Obviously, people have already bought the dip. There's already some movement. So if you want to catch the bigger move, you got to get in earlier, right? Because by the time the Fed announces it and has policy statements and the dot plots and what have you, by then you might miss a big chunk of the move. But anyways, at least you've been given a heads up, and that's why you're here. That's why you're watching this up until now. So well done to you, right? So can Bitcoin sustain its rebound, at least between now and the Fed meeting? I'm doubtful, right? Why? Because you've got fear that is still evident. Okay, now you can find this market sentiment meter on the Bybit website. I'll show you again. I'll tell you what, I'll open a new window, type in bybit.com. Right? In this instance, instead of going over to learn, like I showed you earlier, Bybit Learn, instead of that, you click on markets. Okay, click on markets, and you can see right there the market sentiment meter now at 28. To be clear, 28 is a higher reading compared to the 11 number that we saw on this meter, which signaled extreme fear. That was from a couple of weeks ago, right? So not too long ago. So now market sentiment has eased away from extreme fear now to just fear. But to be clear, it's still fear, right? So hence, it's not like the kind of green, really bullish reading that we saw actually just a couple of months ago going into October, right? Where just Bitcoin, obviously hit a new record high back in early October, but it was just supercharging along really for most of this year, or really since April, right? So not the kind of bullishness that we saw coming into October, not quite as extreme fear as we saw a couple of weeks ago, but still fear, right? Hence, there is not enough bullish sentiment, at least based on this one indicator alone, to tell me that, Bitcoin can just keep charging higher all the way up, right? So right now, still holding above 92K right now. Okay, so that's one quick and easy barometer that you can use to refer to. Now, going back to the article, another thing that we mentioned, this one is a bit more technical, and this is from Bloomberg. So it's basically what's happening in the in the futures market for Bitcoin. So typically when you see this peak, right, then there's a rebound, but then it doesn't last long, right? Similarly, you see this peak. Now, if this trend continues from the past, right, see this peak in open interest futures, that means there's enough people betting that prices for Bitcoin will go higher. Then that pushes prices up, but then falters. Okay, so we saw it happen a couple of times already since, so far in this quarter, right? So if this trend continues, right, so you've got this peaking around above the 20,000 mark here for, again, this is open interest for Bitcoin futures. If this trend continues, then yeah, we might see some gains potentially hitting the 95,000 target that we had set from November 21st, but then that may be as good as it gets, and then we'll just wait for what the Fed says on December 10th. Okay, I hope that was enough to digest. If not, look, take your time with this article. It's already published at learn.bybit.com. Make sure you check it out there. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives you, again, not a concrete answer, right? Because again, none of this is financial advice, and no one can tell you with 100% certainty where Bitcoin will go, at least in the very immediate short term, right? Bitcoin prices can move wild. At least spare a thought for the folks who had $400 million worth of combined bearish bets who were liquidated over the past 24 hours because of this stunning rebound in Bitcoin that we've seen since yesterday. Okay, how quickly markets turn, especially in the crypto space. So please use proper risk management, know your risk appetite, and none of this is financial advice. Okay, so what do we look out for? So I've just quickly listed some big events that we're going to look out for. Of course, the December 10th Fed rate decision, and it was 91% when I published this about 5-6 hours ago. Now it's 97%. Looking at live numbers, and these markets are growing expectant that the Fed will lower interest rates. But beyond that, markets desperately want to know, okay, just how many more rate cuts can we expect in 2026? Okay, and the Fed will actually issue what's called a dot plot. I could show you, but the one I have is copyrighted. But yeah, you can Google this, Fed dot plot, right? You can see all these dots. If you know how to interpret it, great. You've got 1 week to learn how to interpret it between now and December 10th. But it signals how many more rate cuts that the Fed expects to invoke in 2026, right? If there's more than expected, then that should cheer stocks, cryptos, even gold prices as well. Okay, we've got other big economic data coming out, like the U.S. jobs report and the U.S. inflation data. That's on December 16th and 18th. Then December 19th, you got the Bank of Japan, right? And this was the decision that I mentioned earlier about strategy. Okay, those are the fears that, hey, this company, this Bitcoin treasury company, which means its business model is basically doing nothing but buying and holding onto Bitcoin. Okay. It's got a software business, but nobody really cares about that side now. But whether or not this company could be removed from stock indices, okay, that will be a big decision that's due, I think, before or by January 15th. So look out for that. Okay, and already, last but not least, right? So I mentioned again, this was published about a few hours ago. 95,000 target, as long as the 21-day simple moving average holds as support. For those of you just joining, right, I'll show you the chart again in just a bit. But to the downside, if the 21-day SMA fails, right, I'll be keeping an eye on 84,000. Okay, so it's all there, printed, locked, right? Go check it out, learn.bybit.com. Again, this is what the chart looks like. I'll zoom back out again so I can go back to my pretty chart right there. So all eyes on this 21-day simple moving average. You can pull it up on the indicator, right? Just look for the chart looking icon and hover over it and you'll see indicators. If you're using the Bybit app, right, go to your account in the top left-hand corner. Top right-hand corner. Yeah, look for the nut and bolt looking like icon, right? Click on it. It's settings really. Click on it and you'll find indicators there, and then you can find moving average. Plug that in, 21-day simple moving average. That's the one I'll be looking for. But yeah, do give me a shout out if you're looking at other technical indicators, right, for the immediate term. Right. Would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to share them on YouTube. I have the live chat open. Now, I know most of you are watching this after the live stream has ended, which is fine, right? And feel free to drop us those comments, but then it'll be on X, okay? Just look out for us at Bybit_learn, and you can DM us, and I'll be more than glad to try and answer some of those questions that you have, okay? So that's Bitcoin right there. Real quick, we're going to look at gold as well. This is beautiful. So we had set that 4,200 target, even from November 21st, right? Punched up above it on Friday, right? And just been hovering. Now see big round number 4,200 now acting as psychological level. Try to break below it, not got rejected. Try to go below the floor, bounce back up, support. So prices are 4,200, big round number, supporting gold prices right there. Okay, I will show you what I shown during the live stream on November 21st, right? Again, you can keep me accountable. Go check out all the previous live streams that we've done. Check out the one on November 21st. That's when I first cited not just 4,200 for gold, but also 95,000 for Bitcoin. Of course, in the day since, I've kind of change the colors and the layout, right, and moving things around because the chart is moving, so I got to make it look pretty. But again, those numbers, right, have been there. Don't believe me, go check it out. But this was a table that I had shown since November 21st. Okay, so you got a daily close above 89K for Bitcoin already. Now we're waiting to see if it actually gets all the way to 95K. And then for gold, daily close, this has been filled already. Okay, so of course, in the lead up to the Fed meeting, I'll be sharing in the next couple of days or so new setups that will be specific to the time around or the week that includes the Fed meeting next week. Okay, so you can see the date down here in the middle, November 21st. Okay, check it out. Those live streams are on the live tab under Bybit Learn's official YouTube channel. Click on the live tab, that's where you'll see it. Okay, some quick other we'll do a quick check-in. Okay, US stock futures now, this is the S&P 500 actually falling away now. I wonder if there was some news that happened while we were doing this live stream, and kudos to you for watching. We have got some AI related fears that seems to be happening right now. So Microsoft has lowered their expectations for how quickly customers can spend money on these AI products, and that probably includes you guys as well, probably all still using the free version of GPT, right? So, not enough people, or it might take a longer time for people to part with their money to pay for AI stuff. That's why, AI stocks are dropping slightly, but in this is the S&P 500 index. An index is just a way to measure something. So for a stock index, the index measures a group or a basket of stocks. Okay, and of course, in the US stock market, a lot of the biggest ones, a lot of the biggest ones are, of course, the big tech names that are involved with AI, right? From NVIDIA to Apple, Microsoft, Google, Alphabet, Tesla, etc. Right? So all these trillion-dollar companies, when the AI fears, their stocks could go down. That influences the broader index as well. S&P 500 index now down slightly, but still not far away. We had a poll earlier today about whether or not or which asset. Here we go. Yeah, check out this poll, right? If you haven't voted yet, make sure you go and vote. Okay, we just published it earlier today. It'll be on for the next few days, right? So which could be the next asset to hit a new record high? We got S&P 500 that was only about 1% away from its all-time high, ATH, earlier today, but as you can see right now, falling because again of macro fundamental news. Okay, Microsoft had the news, stocks falling down slightly. Gold, right, in second place, and then Bitcoin has still a long ways to go, right? So those numbers probably gotten bigger now, more than 1% for S&P 500 away from its record high. Bitcoin also similarly probably closer to 30% because it's faltered down to about 92K. So do take part in this poll. In other words, right, plenty of opportunities across markets. We're going to try and make sure you are aware of them, right? And hopefully, it's up to you, up to your risk appetite, whether you're going to partake in them. I can give you like the long-term forecast, so like for the 12-month forecast of the S&P 500. If you want me to, you just got to give me a shout out, right? Just let me know either on YouTube or on X. For X, I'm a bit slower because I got to open so many different tabs. So that's where we're at for the S&P 500. And in case you didn't know, Bybit has started offering just this year TradFi products. That's TRADFI. That's short for traditional finance. So we're talking gold, oil, stock indices, Apple, NVIDIA. In fact, I had the Apple chart open. Yeah, here we go. So Apple, right, actually hit a new record high. Actually is even still hitting a new record high right now as you speak. Bet you didn't know that. Right, and good thing on you for staying this long into the live stream, right? So Apple hit a new record high. Where have you been? Bounce off the 50-day simple moving average. Again, this is a widely used technical indicator. Boom, new record high. Right? So not everything is falling, not everything is so downcast, right? We here at Bybit Learn, we're trying to make sure that you are aware of everything else that's going on, not just gold. I've shown you S&P 500, I've shown you Apple, and of course, let's end with this: the world's most traded FX pair, which is the euro dollar. Let's see if it's hit my target. Oh, I got so close and then bounced back down, right? So check this out. In the live stream that we had from just last Friday, which was November 28th, right? November 28th was around here, right? You can see this doji candlestick here, right? Prices were back down here, but already we had drawn these levels here, either 1.1677 to the upside or 1.1486 to the downside. Now, of course, say what, I'll bring up the article that I published on the Learn site of Bybit.com. So again, for those of you just joining, you head on down to Bybit.com. Across the top, you'll see the Learn tab. Click on Bybit Learn. And then you'll see the URL change to learn.bybit.com. Find the blog, click on daily bits, and you'll see what I published, right? 3 assets to preview. And one of them was euro dollar. Here we go, right? See the date, right? Again, November 28th. It's there in stone. Keep me accountable. Ooh, great. I'll show you how I got those points in just a bit. November 28th, right? Euro dollar all the way down here. Check this out. Right? To 1.167. Drew that from last Friday. And today it literally got to within 0. Well, what did I draw on the chart? Let me find it. Euro dollar, yep, here. Less than 0.02% away from the target. Is that a win? Is that close enough? You let me know. Okay. And that's because of the events that are highlighted from last Friday, right? So you've got this higher than expected inflation in the Eurozone, which tends to lift a currency up, right? Higher than expected inflation, currency tends to strengthen. I won't go into the whole Econs 101 lesson about how that works, but just generally, right, as a rule of thumb, just know this: higher than expected inflation, currency is stronger. Okay, generally, as opposed to say a weaker jobs market, currency weaker. Okay, so for euro dollar, you had not just higher than expected inflation in the Eurozone yesterday, but then today you had weaker than expected US jobs data. Okay, so that means you had a weaker US dollar, so the euro took advantage of it. Boom, all the way up, literally to within 2 pips or 20 ticks of our price target that we had set even from over here last Friday, November 28th. Okay, let me know if that's a win or that's not good enough for you. You want it exactly down to the pip, right? Well, I guess we can't please everybody if that's the case. But anyway, so yeah. So here's what I mentioned. Well, you got the jobs data over here actually. But yeah, so a combination of those two. And there's more things to look out for as well later on Friday. But I think this is a pretty good target, but of course, we've got a couple more days left in the week. We'll see where it goes. This is another important one. We'll talk more about it maybe in tomorrow's live stream. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's euro dollar. I mean, just to recap, euro dollar got to less than 0.02%, right? Not 2%, but 0.02% of the target, literally 2 pips away from that target that we had from November 21st. Do a quick check-in on the other ones. Yeah, S&P 500. Yeah, a little move there. This is the S&P 500. Again, you can find many of these assets like euro dollar and S&P 500 on the TradFi stuff. If you're on the web platform, here I'll show you. So in the web platform, hover your cursor over the hamburger menu in the top left-hand corner and just type in what you want, like euro dollar, and then you'll show it up there, right? Here it's called EURUSD plus. You look for Apple, just type in Apple, and you'll see the stock there, AAPL is the ticker, hitting a new record high as we speak, right? Plenty of opportunities out there in the market. Euro dollar up, gold up, what else? Yeah, well, I think we're running out of time. So let's go back to Bitcoin. Yeah, so got so close to that 94,000 level before being resisted at the big round psychological level. most importantly, 21-day simple moving average must hold. The longer Bitcoin can stay above that 21-day simple moving average is this blue line here, right? The greater the chance you can eventually hit the 95,000 target, which is not too far away. This is a target that we had since November 21st, right around here, right? Otherwise, if that 21-day simple moving average fails as support, break below, you got a daily close below. I'll be keeping an eye on the 84,000 level, which had acted as support on November 22nd. Here you can see, hopefully if I move my mouse out of the way, and also over here just on Monday, 84,000. Retest of the support if 21-day simple moving average fails as support, prices break below. Okay, and not just break, but closes below the 21-day simple moving average for that day. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much it for today. Make sure you keep following us. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, and again, I know most of you are watching this after the live stream is ended, you can also follow more of our content on X at Bybit_learn, or make sure you head on down to learn.bybit.com or download the Bybit app. All right. And you can find the Learn icon under the Services section. To get to the Services section under the Bybit app, make sure you go to your account in the top left-hand corner, click on it, and then you'll see Services. Okay. Maybe we'll end with this because if you haven't seen this already across the YouTube description for this video and also on X, make sure you do not miss out, not just on the opportunities that we are highlighting here on this live stream across Eurodollar, Bitcoin, gold, S&P 500, even Apple if you want to, right? But, even though I think that the learning in and of itself should be enough reward, but we make it that much sweeter, make sure you sign up for your Bybit account by scanning this QR code, okay? If you do that, you'll get your share of 25,000 USDT that we've set aside just for these live streams. And again, we've got not only do we have these daily live streams, but also we've got a special live stream on December 9th, previewing the very, very important Fed rate decision. That's the US central bank, most important central bank in the world. They've got a big decision due on December 10th. We'll give you a preview on December 9th, but do not miss out because this giveaway will not last forever, right? Scan this QR code or click on the link below on our YouTube description, or check it out on X, our X platform at Bybit_learn. You'll find the link there. Make sure you sign up so that you can get your share of 25,000 USDT rewards. And we've got more as well, right? Because when you scan this QR code or click on the link, you will actually land on this page. I'll actually show it to you. Learn. There we go. That one. You'll actually land on this page because then you've got, this is for you Bybit OGs or even for you who are signing up, right? If you're signing up now, not only do you get your share of 25,000 USDT, but you can also then be in the running for a further 5,000 USDT every week. Okay, what is your share of? Sorry, I must be clear. Your share, not you alone get 5,000, but your share of 5,000 USDT. How do you get your share of this prize pool? Well, scroll all the way down. You got all these different tasks that you can do. Be it try one of our spot trade products. So spot can be again like gold, or even one of the stocks or indices, right? Or even Bitcoin spot. You can do that as well. Or try our products like the trading bot, or even just submitting your documents and going through the KYC or know your client process, right? That can get you points as well. Those of you who have been watching from earlier, you saw how when I just clicked open to read an article, or the same article I published today, right? Automatically I got points as well, because you can do that here as well, right? Read an article, 1 point. Add a comment, or even publish your thoughts with us at Bybit Learn. Like an article, share it on social media. All that can get you points, and then you can stack yourself up against how these other folks have done it already. People who are clearly taking advantage of all these points. We've got 25 pages worth of them. Check them out. But first things first, scan the QR code to sign up, or click on the link below on YouTube or on X at Bybit_learn. Okay, cool. I'll do one last check. We're about 10, 11 minutes over, but one last check. No questions on YouTube. All right, cool. But if you guys got any questions, feel free to drop us. If you got any questions after the live stream is over, drop us a message on X. I see this comment from, yeah, okay. So Matt, the chartist, silver 0.5% away from a new all-time high. Well, actually, yeah, it's been hitting new record highs all of this week. And we had also been mentioning that. And that's why the poll is for what's next, right? So right now, yeah, those who have taken part still think that S&P 500, right, is likeliest compared to these other major assets to hit a new record high first. Although it's dipping slightly right now, gold getting closer to the all-time high, Bitcoin pulling back away slightly, but still, set for a rebound for 2 days in a row. But essentially, right, wiping out all those declines that we saw on Monday. Oh, now back above 93,000 there. Okay, so we'll keep monitoring this. We'll see if the 95,000 target can be achieved between now and the big Fed meeting and their big decision due on December 10th. Special live stream on December 9th. I did have the silver chart here pulled up earlier. Let me try and see if I have it. Euro dollar, nope. Tell you what, how about this? I'll show it to you guys. Okay, here's how you pull up any of these assets. Okay, so if you are on the app, right? Obviously, you have the search bar there. Just type silver across there, or whatever asset that you want, or whatever token that you want, right? Just type in the asset name. That's easy peasy on the Bybit app. On the web trading platform, again, just hover your cursor over the hamburger menu in the top left-hand corner and type in what you want. So in this case, right, it's silver, and you'll see the code is XAGUSD. Oh, let me try that again. Let me zoom in as well so you guys can see this clearer. Okay, hover your cursor over the hamburger menu in the top left-hand corner, right? And then you've got a drop-down menu that shows. Now you can click on TradFi and then click on commodities, or actually in this case, metals, to find XAGUSD. That's the code for silver. Or you can just type in, like I showed you earlier, silver. Oh, silver, bam, right there, XAGUSD. So in fact, it is hitting yet another, there we go, right? So just hit a new record high earlier today. So, and it's been doing that really since, this is silver. It's been doing that. Let me zoom out a little bit so I got some breathing room. There we go. Doing that since last Friday, right? So new record highs. So again, it's been a conducive environment for gains for precious metals, not just silver, but I showed you gold as well, right? Rebounding here, but still a bit of a ways, about 4% away from its all-time high. This is gold, XAU USD. All-time high was registered back in October, right? Mid to late October. Okay, so thank you for that comment there, Matt, the chartist. Going in and give him a like. So yeah, feel free to give us a shout out on X, or well, after the live stream now that's about to end, and on X at Bybit_learn. And don't forget, right, to sign up so you can get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards. Cool, we'll leave it at that. I will see you guys again tomorrow at 2 p.m. GMT for our regular daily market update. Until then, see you, and thanks so much for watching.